on the flower market. So today talking summer flowers, production, marketing, export. Where do you fit in this value chain? We have two incisive guests here in studio to speak into that conversation. They will of course be lending us the expertise about where you can carve yourself a niche in this space. Of course, knowing that this is a global value chain that stretches from all the way to the grassroots where the flowers are grown into the export markets of Europe and the Middle East and further afield, and quite a bit of money changing hands here. How do you fit in? That in a few minutes. Let me introduce the guests now. Right next to me here, Mary Gethenji. She is a grower and exporter of cut flowers to Europe. Please say hello to the guests.
Good afternoon.
And we have Dr. Duncan Moneki-Taiti. He is a crop scientist with many, many years experience speaking into this conversation. And of course, talking about the agronomic space, how you get into this, the technology required, how you are going to put your plants in the soil, and of course, the husbandry around these products such that they get to market at a certain quality. Well, that's the introduction. Let's then get right into it. I want each of them to talk about where they started in this space and what their role has been so far. I want to start with you, Mary. Talk to us about where you started off in this space and what you do now.
Thank you very much. I started working with the government of Kenya in the agriculture sector as an extension officer in Kiambu.
Yes.
And then I moved on to the inspectorate at the Ministry of Agriculture at the airport. And later on, I joined KEFIS.
Yes.
KEFIS is Kenya Plant Health Inspectorate Service, charged with the inspection of fresh produce, phytosanitary inspection to be specific.
Yes.
Before the products leave for exports. Then I took a retirement. Then I went into production of fresh cut flowers, which I'm growing in Nyandarua and exporting.
So you're bringing many, many years of technical expertise into this space, of course, and then also being a marketer. Quite interesting. Let's go to Dr. Taiti. Talk to us about where you started off in this space and where you are now.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Wakaba. Afternoon, viewers. Coming from an industry that is a little bit diverse, because looking at the agriculture sector itself, we got crops and livestock, but I've specialized in crops, and more into crops is the production practices and the research behind analysis of soil, analysis of water, looking at the media and pest and disease management, and all about crop husbandry. I've been an extensionist for quite a number of years. I've dealt with small-scale farmers, and I got a passion from my horticultural exports of crops like other vegetables. Before I ventured into, summer flower production with the smallholder farmers across the country.
And it's interesting that you talk about working with smallholders, because we know that this industry thus far had been dominated by large-scale producers. They put Kenya on the global map in terms of production and export of summer flowers, so to say. Basically horticultural products. But we have now started to see the push for smaller farmers, smallholders to get into this space. Why is this important? Why are we making this push now?
You'll accept the fact that in as much as the big players, as you can say, the big exporters, are important and has a high value in the export of cut flowers, the larger percentage of farmers are small-scale holders. People with parcels of land from 0.5 or 1 acre to 10 to 20, that is not much. But they have been involved in production of subsistence crops for household consumption. And over time now, people have learned that agriculture can also be an enterprise or, a business like any other. And so you find that people are now venturing into summer flower production because it's, as opposed to cut flowers like roses that are produced at greenhouses, summer flowers can comfortably be grown outside that is open field with minimal resources. They are not as capital intensive
yes.
as compared to other flowers like hybrid tea roses and other flowers that are produced at greenhouses.
And for me, that's interesting, so that our viewers can understand. Maybe break down that difference for us. So you're saying that the difference between the usual cut flowers, the high-value crops that we know, and summer flowers is the means of production.
Yes. Yeah, sure. You find, other factors of production, maybe it's important that we inform our viewers. For any person who would wish to do production, there are key factors that are necessary. One, you need some space, and land here comes in handy for small holders. But otherwise now, for other big players who are doing roses at a greenhouse, they will not need land because, they will need a space, not as land per se, because they can do it at the other types of media. There is vermiculite, there is peat moss, there is cocoa peat, there are a lot of other media that can be used. But smallholder farmers have soil, basically. You find that you have inherited or you have bought a piece of land. The immediate thing that you find is soil as a media of production. Again, water is also important. And you find that nowadays, due to climate changes, we have fluctuations in the seasons and the amounts and distribution of rain that we are getting. It's important also to have water. But as opposed to other high-intensive flowers like roses, they might not require as much water as a rose crop would require. This can actually be grown. If a farmer can do onions, can do cabbages through rain-fed, there are summer flowers that can easily also be grown in the open field. Okay, so it is possible for us to have smallholder farmers doing cut flowers.
Okay, very interesting, because then most people then would ask, coming to you, Mary, what's the market like for this product? Do they head the same route as the other flowers that we see? Do they find the same sort of market?
Yes, they do. They do. Marketing is the same, whether roses or the summer flowers is the same. Because these summer flowers are used together with roses and other flowers to make what we call a bouquet. That is what you find in most supermarkets in Europe and elsewhere. So the summer flowers are usually fillers. We call them fillers because they fill in bouquets together with other flowers. Yes, so the marketing is the same. Mainly, if the flowers are going to the auction, even the summer flowers will go to the auction. If they're going to the supermarket after being done into bouquets, they'll also find their way there.
So in a sense, what you're saying is that when we export these products and they are auctioned off at the auction, for example, in Netherlands, the buyers will buy both types.
Yes.
And then we'll have some people along the value chain who will come up with the bouquets depending on the market, what the market is demanding, and this then get integrated.
Yes, they do. They sell the same way. The auction is for all the flowers.
Yes.
By the way, we have more than 1,500 types of flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, so far.
And all these find themselves at the auction?
Yeah, they find themselves at the auction. Yes.
And so then talk to us about this market. And when people say summer flowers, it would sort of connote the fact that they only grow during that window. Is that the case? Because, I mean, we know that there are seasons. So is that the case for the flowers or not?
No. I would say no. Currently, we are selling flowers throughout the year. So there's no... Okay, the volumes may go down, but we sell throughout the year, including roses. We are selling throughout the year. So there's no time where you say you're not selling any flower. The market may be down, because when they talk about... Our flowers sell mainly from September up to June, because that is when there is winter in Europe.
Yes.
When they get to summer, they also have their own production, but it's not enough. Remember, in this part of the world, cost of production is cheaper.
Yes, relatively low.
Yeah, it's relatively low because in Europe, at times they are forced to use electricity to heat up their production. For us, we are growing under the sun, And we are very proud to say our products are grown under the sun.
Sun-fed.
Yeah, sun-fed. Yes.
Okay, so then for most people who are watching today, the question they would be asking, Mary, is this a viable business? Is this something I'd want to get into? Is there money in this?
Yes, there is. It's viable so long as you know what the market wants in terms of quality and volume. Because selling flowers is a matter of quality. It's just quality. What are you selling? What are you delivering to the market? Is it sellable?
Yes.
Will it appease the grower? I mean the consumer.
Consumer, yes. So then with that in mind, Dr. So a person sitting at home looking at us saying, I want to get into this business, what are the things they have to get right to then start having a conversation about the quality that Mary is talking about? What are the steps that will get us to that point?
Excellent. That's good. A good question. One, you have learned there are some basic resources that are required. Land is not a fast piece of land. Yes. The economies of scale in production of flowers, especially summer flowers, is that a unit area, for example, a meter squared, you can produce sufficient stems that can break even given the in comparison to other vegetables. For example, flowers, a simple unit area can can actually pay.
If you had a meter of flowers, you're saying that the flowers will produce way more than a meter of cabbage would produce.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. What sort of comparisons are we looking at? Is it possible to compute?
Remotely you can say that based on the variety again, because this summer flowers comes in varieties. Yes. There are some varieties that can fetch high prices per stem as opposed to others. But it also again depends on the market. Where are you going to market these flowers? Which markets have you secured? Yes. We can say relatively. It would be good to say that a meter square of flowers can fetch up to 90% more than vegetable. When you compare, also again, vegetables are also relative again. When you compare with cabbages, it will be like 90% more. Because again, look at the space that the cabbage is going to occupy in a square meter. With some flowers, it will be, you can have up to 50 stems. While else in a meter square of cabbages, you might have 5, 6 based on the variety again. Yes.
So then this question to Mary is, with what is said in mind, and if I have decided that I then want to get into this sector, how do I know which varieties to grow? Because they said some will be worth more than others. So how do I pick which flower I'm growing? And then how do I go about now getting to that space? Because I need expertise. I need a place to get this sort of flowers. Where do I even get the research?
First of all, flowers they have periods when they resell. We have periods like the Valentine.
Yes.
We have Mothers, and we have
that's Mother's Day.
Mother's Day.
Yes.
We have Women's Day. We have, and these Mother's Days are different. We have the French Mother's Day, UK. You have Russia. So there is usually a calendar when you know how to time production so that you're able to maximize this period when there is peak. Yeah.
So for a person like you who then exports, are you able to work with smallholders, people that you would get into business with to produce for you these flowers during these periods?
Yes, I do. But what I do, because of quality issues, I work with specific growers whom I'm able to follow their practices. Because one of the other things we have is it's very important that you have certification in exports. And when we talk about certification starts from how are you producing your flowers? Are you taking care of your workers? Are you taking care of environment? How sustainable is your production? So that is where now you get certified based on how you're taking care of those 3 issues. That's when you hear there is Global Gap, there is Meta, all those standards. So you get certified, and one of the key things in the market is that people want to know that you're producing your flowers sustainably.
Yes.
So once you have the certification, it gives you that advantage. So what we do with our growers is also to make sure that they are following. They are taking care of the environment. They have they have minimum. They are able to take care of their workers. They are using pesticides responsibly. They are taking care of the environment. They are taking care of their workers. So we follow them to make sure that they're able to do the practices that we...
Yes, so this is essentially a traceability system from start to finish.
Yeah, from start to finish.
It would seem that it would be something very laborious. How do you ensure that this system works and that you can live up to the billing and the certification that is given?
Usually, like when I talk about outgrowers, I don't work with so many.
Yes.
I work with those ones who are willing to do what
to
is required.
Yes.
So I have managers
who then audit them.
Who audit them. Yeah. So
Okay.
that they check their systems to make sure that they are complying. Yes.
So then with the in mind the specifications you've talked about global gap, Europe gap, and how this cascade then locally. Talking about quality and sustainability then sort of seems to mean that you're able to deliver this consistently so that you know that we're talking about impact on the environment, we're talking about welfare of farmers, we're talking about even things like the impact in the community and on the animals in that sort of ecosystem. Are we able to audit and answer all those questions?
Yes, we do. When, first of all, you train the growers. Once you train them, you take them through the standards and the requirements. Then you follow up. Yes.
Doctor, it would then seem that to enjoy these benefits that you're talking about in terms of certification, and that's the premium for farmers.
Yes.
We would be talking about extension services, something that has been a huge gap in this country for a very long time. How would we then start to have that conversation about how we can start to walk the talk in terms of ensuring that farmers and even aspiring farmers can start to work with experts? Who will pay these experts? Where are they? How do we find them?
Okay. Bono Akaba, I think it's good to say that such forums that you have started is a big milestone. Because one of the failures that we are having in cat flower production in terms of the numbers of farmers who are engaging in this practice is that they lack information. And information is key, like a good question.
Yes.
Now, there has been, evolution of the agricultural extension services, whereby we started with training and visit. Now we are training and visit, and it has evolved to levels now where we say it is demand-driven.
Yes.
With the information, the farmer has got the information.
Yes.
It's possible for me to do, business, an agro-business venture with the summer flowers.
Yes.
And, with this information, it can be in a position to look for because the Ministry of Agriculture will support any other person who walks in.
So
that's what you call demand.
Demand is what is
demand. It pushes the extension.
So the farmer has, sorry to interrupt you, so the farmer has to know that this is available and where to get it so that they can then reach out and start to say that I need this service.
Yeah, sure. It is, when you talk about demand-driven, the farmer is aware. He knows the pros and cons and the advantage that is going to reap from engaging in a certain agricultural activity. And most of them now are starting forming what you're calling CIGs, common interest groups. And these common interest groups are following a certain value chain for a given crop. When you talk about summer flowers, they are farmers who are coming from a certain geographical area, and based again on the ecological conditions of that area, they are in a position to say our attitude will allow production of this, because probably they have seen, like Mary is saying, is producing certain specific summer flowers in Kinagop or somewhere where the altitude is high, and you'll permit the production of certain varieties. There are others in Kajiado and Machakos or any other part where you have probably even higher temperatures. And they'll favor certain production of certain varieties of cut flowers. These farmers again can come together and form common interest group and express interest to the Ministry of Agriculture. And again, we also have private extensionists, private people like myself, who are actually willing, people with a passion for smallholder and seeing smallholder farmers grow. They will come and do soil analysis as a key consideration, because again, like she is saying, quality is key. There is no market anywhere in the world that will permit an export or a flower with a certain pest. And there is no, actually the threshold is zero. Zero threshold of any pest. They have to be no pest. Those are phytosanitary in the standards she's talking about, phytosanitary measures. So apart from pests, again, you have to look at, do you have crooked stems? Because again, that is also a consideration. And I believe she will bear me witness that the problem that we have with our local market, and especially when it comes to summer flower production, is that farmers are, due to lack of information, they will not produce flowers that are of quality. And I believe that is why she is saying she will only work with a small group of farmers who are willing to adhere to what is required in the specific standard.
So then maybe the question then becomes, how do we achieve this quality? What does a farmer have to do to get to the quality you're talking about? Because, for example, the fact that this part of the world with direct sunshine, flowers should be growing straight up. So why are they lopsided when it comes to some of the local farmers? And then buyers like you will complain that these flowers are not straight and that sort of thing. What are the farmers missing out on? What are the challenges that are leading to this?
I would say crooked stems is not a very big issue. Because in management, if they manage their crops well and feed them well, because you find some of the bent stems will come out from improper feeding and not taking care of them, support. So if they do the right practices, they're able to support. The only problem that comes in, because of most of our market is in Europe. And Europe has so many regulations. So any person who is dealing with exports must understand what Europe requires. In terms of quality, you see there is a quality and phytosanitary. What do they want in terms of phytosanitary? Which are these pests that cannot be around in Europe?
And
what
do
they
farmers
call
understand that?
Yes, they do. They do, because we take them through training. So from practices, especially pest control, they must understand. Also, which are these pesticides that they cannot use? They also need to understand these are the pesticides that can be used for flowers going to Europe or going to UK. So we usually provide them with a list of the pest control products that they may have to use. And then we have also trained them about grading of our flowers, because usually when we take the flowers, we'll take them to our pack house. We will grade them, and we have trained them also. They also come to the pack house. They see their flowers being graded, and then they see the output. So they are conversant with what the requirements are.
So Dr. Mary has talked about chemicals, one of the major sticking points for this part of the world. And even before getting into the chemical aspects, one of the more current ways of extension is through agrovets. They've basically taken over the entire countryside in terms of being the go-to people for agronomical, agricultural, phytosanitary advice at the grassroots. Do you think that is working for this market, or are they creating additional challenges?
Honestly speaking, you see, any manufacturer or distributor of his products will look into the easiest way for the products to find their way into the market, or to the end user for that matter. And you find that most agrochemical companies will deal with the distributors, the stockists, others will deal directly with end users.
Yes.
Now, the evolution that we are having, most agrochemical companies are dealing directly with end users, getting to know, like what Madam Mele is saying here, what is the approved, or what are the approved pesticides for a grower to use and to have the product accepted in Europe or any other market. Because I'll tell you for real that pesticide use is dictated by the market. Pesticide use, at most now where we are studying, is dictated by the market. If the European market, based on the supermarket, they will say, you're not going to use this molecule, because again, pesticides are they're active. If this is not permitted, even if it is pleasing or it is low or cheap in cost, the farmer will not use it. But like you are saying, yes, that is the easiest way. And that's why you find most of the agrochemical companies are moving towards the use of biopesticides. Those the likes of microbes to control pests, microbes, plant extracts. We have plant extracts. We have
even other sorts of insects that will consume.
Yes. Natural, we call them natural enemies.
Yes.
Natural enemies that will predict, for example, on mites. Mites is an important pest of economic importance in cutthroat production. And you find that natural enemies that can be used to control the mites. And that's probably what is, because it's market demand driven. If you are using this product and it is the traces are observed in the market, you could face some sanctions in the export.
Okay, quite an interesting discussion there. We need to go to a short commercial break, but when we come back, I would like us to get into the space where we're able to talk about, first, of course, the specialty areas of this, because they tend to be more premium. And then secondly, about diversification and the various markets, because we've talked about Europe. Are there any other markets and that sort of thing? But I want you to hold those thoughts so that we go to this commercial break. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.